Hello, welcome back to a new episode of Spaghetti. I'm your host, Andrea, and we're keeping it cozy today. I feel like the next few videos that I'm going to put out, there may or may not be a different setup. Figuring it out, and I need to stay committed to it. I launched this a month ago. Ain't no reason why it took me this long to put out another episode. So, um, yeah. So this episode, we're just gonna get straight into it. I tend to tell on myself, but when I say I'm telling on myself, it's really reflection and the fact that I am someone who is pretty self-aware or tries to be, which can sometimes work in my favor and sometimes doesn't. So this episode is I have a bad habit of starting and stopping. Yeah, I have a bad habit of starting and stopping. What that looks like is I can be super enthusiastic, super excited about something, planning lots and lots and lots of planning. And there's action, absolutely, that comes with starting and stopping because I've gotten to the point of doing it. And then, boom, I put the thing out there and then I stop. And why I have this habit currently um, is it's something about committing to something about committing to a thing, putting the project out has been more profound to me than sticking to them. And they're both mutually important. So I think there are a number of reasons for this. So I talk often, like with my close friends and my peers and things like that, or in my journal, whatever the case may be. I talk about what I'm going to do, um, who I want to be. And I haven't been doing a lot of talking as of late because sometimes it's like I'm talking about it, but I'm not doing it. And a lot of what I've just noticed is because we are in the world that we are, I can't knock it. I have to accept it because it is true to it. But people need to see things to believe it. People need tangibility. They need proof of concept, right? Fair. Great points. Absolutely. Um, and so sometimes I talk about it, what I want to do, who I want to be. And I know in my heart of hearts that I'm not the boy who cried wolf, even if I saw the wolf 10 miles away. But basically saying, even if it's going to take me time to do it, I'm still going to do it. Like I know in my heart of hearts, I'm not the boy who cried wolf. If I'm talking about it, if I say I'm going to do something, if I say I'm going to be something, like that's going to forever be on my mind, and it's going to happen. And the only thing that's going to stop that is God. Period. So I know in my heart of hearts, I'm not the boy who cried wolf, even if it takes me a minute to do it. And you don't see the wolf, I saw the wolf. It's gonna happen. Okay. Um, and so ultimately, really proving to myself this overall sentiment that not only can I talk about it, I can do it. Start. Two, so actively working towards being the person you want to become. It sounds beautiful and absolutely is, while simultaneously not taking into account that there is responsibility and upkeep that comes with beauty. So, for example, thinking about it as a woman, right? When you're thinking about your beauty, your hair, your makeup, and things like that, we know how beautiful it's going to come out. We know what that's going to look like. However, there's still a responsibility and an upkeep. There's a financial responsibility. There's a maintenance that has to happen, a habit that every morning I got to get up and I have to do my makeup. So you have to do some other things. You have to start and continue. You can't just start and say, oh, I did this beautiful thing and it turned out so beautifully, but I can't keep it up, basically. Um, Three, perfectionism. Um, Perfectionism, especially whilst I am someone who thinks and dreams big. So I'll get on perfectionism while thinking and dreaming big later, but wanting things to look a certain way and wanting that vision to be conveyed immediately, it's kind of like me trying to avoid the cringe and ugly phase, but needing to accept that this is what comes with it. Practice makes perfect, but most importantly, progress, highlighting the progress over perfection. Um, and then last one is fear. So, like, let's be real, fear is the root of it all. And letting fear be the leading factor and not faith, but constantly reminding myself that the answer to fear is faith. And it's a fear of a rolling list of things, right? A fear when it comes to a lack of finances, capabilities, consistency, discipline, interest, momentum, support, the list goes on. So, just a quick going back, I have a bad habit of starting and stopping, and I believe the reasons are there's something that has been profound about starting because I've needed to prove to myself that I can start something because I tend to talk more about starting something and not actually doing the thing. So, having that habit of now I've gotten to the start, but I've hit that middle point that I am not continuing, so I'm stopping. Also, not taking into account, which is not an excuse by any means, that when you start, there is responsibility that comes with it. And sometimes that's not pretty. That's the mundane, that's the everyday task. It's the things you might not want to do, but need to do. Perfectionism, starting something and then stopping because it doesn't look a certain way. It doesn't look the way that I want it to look, but I can't get it there if I've stopped. I can't get it there. One, it was like, okay, girl, you can't get it there if you haven't started. So you need to start. And then you started, and now you can't get it to look in your perfect little bubble if you just started and stopped. Like everything basically becomes null and void. Um, and then lastly, fear. So first there was the fear of starting, then I've started, and now there's fear to keep going because there's always just going to be a list of fears and fears and fears, and it's just like, okay, if you're going to continue to let fear take over your life, like, you're not going to get very far. So basically, we're starting over with what worked, and this is what I'm doing to combat it. We're getting 1% better every day. Essentially, the compound effect. Essentially, in tandem with the compound effect. Two different books, two great books. I read the compound effect back in March, and this is what pushed me to start my business. This is not to sell you on self help books. I've been on a self help kick because, girl, your girl needs help. She needs help. So this is not to sell you on the compound effect. This is not to sell you on the atomic habits. This is just what worked for me and how I'm going to combat it. Because, yeah, the compound effect did for me what I feel like the atomic habits does for other people. And so the things that stick with me, that has stood out and have stuck with me in the compound effect is Darren Hardy states, you make your habits and then your habits make you. And that I just felt like read me for filth because it was just like, you make your habits and then your habits make you. Whatever habits you are participating in, those are defining who you are. And it's just like, dang, that's deep. And so, an example, he basically said, habits and behaviors never lie. If there's a discrepancy between what you say and what you do, I'm going to believe what you do every time. If you tell me you want to be healthy, but you've got Dorito dust on your fingers, I'm believing the Doritos. If you say self-improvement is a priority, but you spend time with your Xbox than the library, I'm believing the Xbox. If you say you're a dedicated professional, but you show up late and unprepared, your behavior rats you out every time. Just thinking about like that statement, you make your choices, then your choices make you. You make your habits and your behaviors and all these other things, and they make you by just these little tiny things that you are participating in. And so then, if we go to the atomic habits basically states getting 1% better every day puts you in a better position than basically doing nothing. And it says, let's see. So it says, improving by 1% isn't particularly notable. Sometimes it's not even noticeable, but it can be far more meaningful in the long run. Here's how the math works it out. If you can get 1% better each day for 1 year, you'll end up 37 times better by the time you're done. Conversely, if you get 1% worse each day for 1 year, you'll decline nearly to zero. Which starts as a small win or a minor setback accumulates into something much more. Habits are the compound interest of self improvement. The same way money applies through compound interest, the effects of your habits multiply as you repeat them. I can just bring up like my own personal example of how this works in real life. Wanted to, I took up running and joined a run club, and I'll go more into depth of like one of my ultimate goals for this year as to why I joined a run club. But I joined a run club. They wanted to do a 5K. I said, you know what? I'm just going to try something new. I'm not a runner by any means. I ran track, but I did the 2 and the 4. I don't run around neighborhoods. I don't do any of that. I be talking about my shins, y'all, and my knees. But I say, you know what? Let me just do it. Like, I'm in new territory, moved from California to New York. Let's just try all new things, okay? And so, as the first time I started running, I'm like, okay, I've been in the gym a little bit. I've been keeping up. Okay, cool. Then I would time myself. I'm like, okay, cool. I got through that within in this time. And so I looked up the average time that it had for runners. And I said, I just want to get to the lowest average for beginners, which is about 40 minutes for a 5K. And so I continued running. I continued training myself. I continued like it was just me versus me. This is nobody else's race but mine. And this should be your mentality just with life. So as I'm building a habit of running more, one, when I'm not running during the week, it's like, ooh, okay, first I need to be getting out there. I need to be running. Two, as I'm building up this habit and I'm continuously going, there's so many different things that are like improving my mental capacity of just being able to understand that it's all in the mind, keep going, my breath work, my timing. And so with that, I was able to PR and do about 31 minutes. I was aiming for 40. So thinking about the compound effect in some ways that it's like you don't even have any idea how much they're adding up. But say if I would have said, oh, I want to run a 5K, and I went week after week after week after week not running at all, I would have got out there in that 5K and been breathing like crazy. And this, like, it just would not have worked out. And I would have absolutely did 40, probably did 45 to an hour because I didn't train or I didn't prepare myself for such thing, right? Okay, so let's keep moving. So, how we're combating it. The solution, check one thing off your list a day. Just one. Check one thing off of your list today. A day. That is my minimum. My goal is to do 3 things off of my list today, but check at least just one thing off of your list. And if you're anything like me, you have a list within a list. So break it down. Write the deadlines for anything that needs one or you need to assign one. Specifically, I need to launch X product. Create a deadline. But if there's something that has a deadline, I need to pay this ticket by X date. Have that deadline and face it head on. The anxiety that you're feeling is absolutely valid, but you're wasting more time having those anxious thoughts and avoiding it and then just making it worse. And now you're like feeling overwhelmed rather than doing the thing, rather than flowing with the anxiety by doing the thing and completing the task. You'll still be feeling whatever you're feeling, however you deal with your anxiety. Like it's still going to be there, but you're actually going through the motions. You're understanding something. You're putting the pieces together. Eventually, things should simmer down. I'm hoping. Um, but sometimes when you do the task, it seems daunting. It seems overwhelming. It seems like it's going to cause more anxiety, but it's not always as daunting as it seems. So Basically, solution, check one thing off of your list, create the list, create the deadlines, divide the list however you need, and face it head on. Two, find your mantra. A mantra is the definition I'm using, at least, a statement or a slogan repeated frequently. And so, finding your mantra and using your mantra. This year, a few of mine have been I can do hard things, or it's not hard, it's new. I get to, which was something I talked about in the last episode. And it's very action oriented rather than saying I am. You're saying I get to do XYZ. Um, you have everything in front of you, 1% better daily. God wouldn't bring you this far. And sometimes your mantras are not like, they don't need to be these affirmations, they don't need to be these full sentences. They can literally just be one word, two words, something that just does, like 1% better daily. If I said that to somebody, it's not a full complete sentence, but I know if I'm saying 1% better daily, 1% better daily, I need to, like, it's my mantra, something that I need to repeat and I need to remember. So, finding your mantra and using your mantra. For as long as I've remembered, and for as long as I remember, mantras have helped me physically get out of a space and keep going. Like, I'll go into that a little bit more. Also, repetition is literally neuroscience and psychology. So, they both, like neuroscience and psychology, both go hand in hand if that's your thing. Repetition specifically creates and strengthens neural pathways, making information and actions faster and more automatic over time. So, skills like running, writing, or playing a new instrument will become more effortless with practice. Again, practice makes perfect. A mantra and the actions that follow will also be effortless and ingrained, which builds mastery. Skills go from a conscious effort skills go from a conscious effort to an automatic ingrained behavior, eventually freeing up mental energy for more complex tasks. And then lastly, it forms habits, and we're talking about habits. I have a bad habit, and we're trying to get to a good habit. So it forms habits. Repeating an action or an experience makes it a subconscious habit, similar to how we develop routines like driving or just speaking without consciously thinking about the things that we're saying. So I say that to say the actions that go hand in hand with your mantras are also working in tandem to habit building. Like, so you're doing something in the subconscious and consciously as well, if that makes sense. So you might have a mantra to get yourself to go to the gym, and now you're also getting up and going to the gym. Not only are you forming a habit with the way that you are speaking to yourself, the way that you are speaking to yourself is also going to in turn change the actions that you are taking towards your life. That's what I mean. Okay, growing up, I did like talking a little bit more on mantras. Growing up, I've dealt with things, life, bullying, um, low self esteem, low income, a lot of different things that it's not for this episode, but I've gone through life. And so I remember maybe between like middle school and high school, I always had to tell myself, keep going, you got this, keep striving, you're beautiful, keep going, you got this, keep striving, you're beautiful. And so those things is what helped me move away from my hometown, got me into college, make friends, learn my personal style, look, just by giving myself those words, because I remember vividly the time that I was in and why I needed to tell myself that. So because I can remember that time and place of why I was saying that and what kept me going, I had my mantra. So that's why I don't know if that helps put things into perspective. And so yeah, now I've mastered those mantras, and then it's on to the next. So you always subconsciously remember them, and you just continue to speak highly of yourself and whatever that looks like. Okay, so uh, first we talked about checking off a list. So creating your list and checking one thing off your list today, finding your mantra and using your mantra. And third, designing a system. So taking your list and your mantras and structuring this in a way that makes the most sense to you. I don't want to overcomplicate this and it's just like, oh, you're doing like so many different things at once. Oh, I need to come up with a list. I need to come up with a mantra and I need to come up with a system. Let that be the foundation to your system. Let that list be the foundation to your system and the mantras be the foundation to your system so you're not overcomplicating the process if that does not work for you and how your brain processes things. Because it does not work for me. So structure it in a way that makes sense to you. We all think differently and all process things differently. And I heard a woman on TikTok say, decide the goal and make your environment change. And she meant like, if you want to go to the gym, put your clothes out the night before. If you want to, um, like whatever you're gonna cook, make sure you have the ingredients ready to go. Like things like that. Like deciding the goal and making your environment agree is basically you building a system. If we're thinking about for any of like the corporate girlies, specifically, I work in e-commerce. So if I'm deciding a goal and a KPI, we want to get more orders and get more sales, and we're going to make our environment agree. We're basically doing anything within that ecosystem of ecom that is going to help us get more orders. Okay, so you have your list to check things off your list. You have your mantras to keep you going and keep you motivated. And now, what is going to change in your environment to get you to accomplish the things on your list or a wider goal, basically? I feel like that was like a roundabout way of saying it, but yeah. So some of this might look like time blocking, bullet journaling. I know some people love the iPad and their apps on the iPad. I say that because I have an iPad and I don't use it to its full capacity. But apps on your iPad, a lot of people love Notion. Notion is a beast once you tackle it. I mean, it's a beast, but once you tackle it, it is a great platform to use a system, or finding something that's more simplistic but can follow Notion in some way. Um, and so basically, create the system so that when you've started or launched and the motivation and excitement starts to die down, there's already a system in place that is going to ensure that you keep showing up. So you've already have been building your habits, you already have your list, and every single day you've been checking one thing off of your list. Your list's continuing, there's things that you're adding, there's deadlines that you're adding, there's mantras that you're saying, keep going, keep going. I didn't come this far, get 1% better every day. So these things are already going to be on your mind. So now that you've developed the system, and as you're forming a habit, you can always go back to that. But full transparency, this year I've been exploring multiple ways and systems for things to work. Not that everything that I do does not work. It is just, again, just trying to find something that sticks for how my brain is processing. And basically, if I'm being so real, just actively rewiring my brain, because sometimes things do work, but sometimes they're a little stale. Um, and it's like there might be a more effective and efficient way to approach this rather than doing what I've been used to for the past 10 years or something like that. I don't know. So I've been trying multiple systems that do work for me because outside of that, outside of things that could get stale, just me personally, I've been slightly out of touch in some ways because life has happened. And so what may have worked for me in my first podcast is not something that's like clicking now. So we're just basically trying to get back into the groove. Okay, so that's full transparency, but definitely have evidence that I have used systems to get through what I need to get through. All right, what I know works for me is, I already talked about a list. I'll go two ways actually. Sometimes I just do a dump of thoughts just to get everything off of my chest, and then I work from there. Or I'll start out with my categories first and I'll do home, car, business, health, like things like that that are very key to certain goals that I can just that I can just box them all in one. School, when I was in school, like things like that. So I drop them in categories and things like that. So then, if I need to, especially now, sometimes I'll have a task that is a little bit too vague and I need to dissect this even further into a micro list where necessary. I'm not saying this is for everything. Please do not stress yourself out, but sometimes where necessary. So if it's in relation to a launch, right, I might put post on Instagram. Post on Instagram can be very vague if I'm launching a business. So it can then turn into like, I wrote that I need to post on Instagram, so why can't I get this task done? I don't understand why I'm stuck. Well, have you set up your business email? Have you created an Instagram account? Have you uploaded your logo? Have you set up everything that you need to then post on Instagram? That's what I mean by dissecting where necessary. Um, and then other things that work for me outside of a written list is setting things out so that I can visually see them. Sometimes I am an out of sight, out of mind girly. I hate to say it, I don't mean to sound ridiculous. But yeah, I am an out of sight, out of mind person sometimes. So I will literally, like, if I need to go to the gym in the morning, my brain is not processing that I need to go to the gym when I wake up. My brain is processing that you need 5 more minutes of sleep because that's all I know. Hit snooze, turn that thing off, leave me alone. Okay? So set things out visually so I can see them. I'm even crazy enough. I just need to hurry up and like, oh, I need to wrap this up. But sometimes I'm even crazy enough. Like, if I park my car on the wrong side, I know myself enough that I cannot trust myself if my phone is near me and the alarm just goes off. And I'm like, oh, you need to move your car. I don't read my phone. I don't do anything. So I, I'm crazy enough that I will put my phone on the other side of the room with a paper on top that says move car in all caps. So it's already telling me that one, why is this paper on top of my phone? So I have to turn my alarm off. Okay, so I gotta read something. Okay, so I see the message popping through. Like, it's just so many different things that are basically alerting me of something different than what I'm used to. I don't know, wild. But basically, set things out visually so you can see them. Event close, whatever the case may be, or visually set a reminder, like on your phone, hours before, whatever the case may be. That's what's worked for me when, depending on circumstances and things like that. Or even then, coming home, doing something immediately. If I say I want to go running before it gets too late, the weather feels nice, whatever the case may be, come in immediately, drop my stuff, change my clothes, go. The momentum and the energy is there. Do not sit down on that couch. If I need to cook dinner, do not sit down on that couch. Get up, get the stuff, go. Okay? So, kind of going back to that TikTok thing as well. Decide the goal and make your environment change. And you have to be willing to put in that effort to make the environment change as you are developing a system. Like, you have to work towards keeping that system running. Like, when you're developing a system, don't overthink it. Figure out what works for you. But this is what's worked for me. A list, mantras, and coming up with how are we going to put the pieces of the puzzle together and make two and two coincide. So don't feel pressure to have a stellar system. I'm giving you something very basic, and I'm sure there's people on YouTube all over giving you these beautiful things, Notion templates, all types of things. That is so fine. So fine. But right now we're at baby steps, and don't feel pressure to have a stellar system. It'll come over time, but leverage what is working for you now. Like, leverage what works, use what works. And then when it's not working, pivot, babe, immediately. Preferably pivot immediately. Like, seriously. Oh, this is not working. This hasn't been working for the past 2 weeks. This hasn't been working for the past month. I need to figure something out. and just figure it out. Now that I'm saying all of this in terms of a system too, my friend started Productive Sundays. Every Sunday, he is doing what he needs to do, going grocery shopping, cleaning up the house, going to the gym, get whatever, doing self-care, whatever the case may be, and has a planner that helps you structure that as well. You can get it on your iPad, you can print it, whatever that looks like, and write down what your intentions are in terms of prayer. What is your prayer for the month? How are you going to stay aligned with that month? What are you checking off for the month? You can see a calendar view of the month, write down your appointments, your dates, everything to keep you going. Um, I haven't been using it that much because I've been slacking. And we're still figuring out the system. So, yeah, I'm going to plug my friend's Productive Sundays as well. Okay, so what's next? Let's wrap this baby up. Okay, so what's next? I am committed to doing so this year. How I said, I brought up the run club, and I said I'm not a runner, and I took up running. So this whole year, my motto is motto and mantra the same thing. I don't know, but this year, I'll say my theme, has been to do unorthodox things to get an anticipated and expected result that I've been wanting. So basically, they say doing the same thing over and over again is insanity, right? And there are certain goals that I have been journaling every single day, rereading my journals, things like that. And I remember a few years ago, I was just in a place that I didn't even want to journal anymore. I didn't even want, like, I was just in a negative place. I was just like in a low place that I would look back and just cringe and be like, oh my gosh, I was writing Get an LLC for the past 3 years. And it's like, girl, just get the LLC. And it's not that easy. Like, I don't need to be that hard on myself at all. But just thinking about um, just going back and saying, like, doing the same thing over and over is insanity. And obviously, something wasn't working. Obviously, I was writing Get an LLC, but I wasn't writing those other things that entailed what it took to get an LLC. I didn't write those micro, um, and dissect it further, that micro list of what it entails to get an LLC. I have one now. I do have one now, but basically, they say that doing the same thing over and over is insanity, and so obviously something was not working, and I'm all for what is working. So I'm being committed to doing unorthodox things to get me to achieve a goal that I've been wanting to achieve for years. But whatever I've been approaching to achieve that goal that's not working, we're switching it up. So if that means that I need to join a run club to basically in, to basically incite determination, to basically um, showcase determination and resilience and consistency. If I need to take a salsa class to gain my confidence, if I so doing unorthodox things to get an anticipated result. So what I'm going to do is something that I have not done. I am going to share my goals online, sharing out loud the things that I want to do. And literally, like, just saying that out loud, even when I typed it, my body and my brain were just like, this is not safe. And I don't know that you can actually do that. You know, like, all your brain, like when you start going into a certain space or trying to do something new, your brain is just trying to protect you. Like, literally just trying to protect you. And all it knows is what it's been doing, even if what it thinks is protecting you. Like, sometimes your brain will do something to protect you and it's actually harming you. Okay, so I just want to approach accountability. So, all of this, saying this out loud, sharing things out loud to have a level of accountability in a new way. So, some of my top priorities to close out this year is posting an episode every single week. I should not have gone this long without posting an episode. I've been in my head. I've been changing things around the house. I've been looking at a list of episodes. Like, it's a lot going on, but we move and we're going to continue to move. Okay? Because there's a lot of information that I need to put out, and there's a lot of things that I need to get better at communicating, being concise, um, learning, getting editing together, learning different effects and backdrops. Like, I'm excited. Throwing spaghetti at the wall, and again, throwing spaghetti at the wall, and the whole like point of this type of podcast is to just have fun, be structured. Like, I'm just I, I can't wait for what spaghetti is going to be, but I can't, as much as I can't wait for what spaghetti is going to be, I'm never going to know what it's going to be if I'm taking a month to post. Okay. Launching a new product or products and bringing you all into the journey with different updates, posting on social media, whatever that looks like. Absolutely launching a new product before this year is up, because helping someone else launch their brand. More details to come. Overall wellness, getting my butt back into the gym with these weather changes at least 3 times a week, taking advantage of the earlier, like the lighter mornings, since it's darker at night. Just taking advantage of the winter weather and like being prepared as we continuously shift shift seasons on the East Coast. This Invisalign is doing a number on me, and it's not even in my mouth right now. I just developed a list. Like, what? Anyway, eating better, cooking, saving money, and going into saving money, paying down my debts. I may or may not share a debt journey to come. I'm not there yet. I might give you guys more details on the things that I do want to do, but like, I'm not there yet. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Throw spaghetti at the wall this week. Come up with your list, come up with your deadlines. And if you're anything like me, you have a habit of starting and stopping, and you're just feeling the rushes of the dopamine, there's a way to combat it and still enjoy things in the mundane. And I am absolutely rooting for you. And whatever it is that you started, I'm proud of you that you did start. And even if you stopped completely, I'm hoping that it led you into a pivot to something else that you want to do and continue to be consistent about. But again, proud of you. I hope anything that I've suggested, I know it's more on a productive base, but hopefully anything that I've suggested can help with things that you're starting and stopping. Write down the things that are next for you, that you have already started, and that you will finish. I fully believe that you will finish. Yes, things that you have started and things that you have finished, everything is in due timing. Everything is in God's timing, as long as you are continuously taking, again, outside of being on God's timing, don't be playing with God's timing. My friend already talked about it. My friend talked about your laziness and disobedience, and delayed obedience is disobedience. So yes, everything is in due timing, everything is in God's timing, but ensuring that if you have it in you and you have the capabilities in you, faith without works is dead. So ensuring that you are taking action and doing what it is that you need to do, praying about it, just just getting 1% better every day. No pressure.